Hi everyone, I'm Pauline Hatch. It is my weekly live. This is going to be an awesome one tonight. I'm going to be throwing some rapid fire stuff at you. We're going to be talking about and unpacking the Humble Aussie lunchbox for our kids. I actually love the lunchbox challenge, but I also really like it when it's holidays and I don't have to think about it. So it's always really good to just come back to looking at how we can revolutionize and refresh a little bit around our lunch boxes. And it's great for the mums to all get on together and start to share a little bit around that. So I put a post up earlier this week saying that when I calculated how many lunch boxes we are going to be packing for our kids, I worked out that it's around 200 lunch boxes a year. So if you're looking at primary school, prep to grade 6, that means you're going to be making, what did I say it was? 1,400 lunch boxes, I think it was, 1,400 lunch boxes over the course of your child going to primary school, prep to grade 6. So you can multiply that by how many kids you've got. For me, that's 4,200 lunch boxes that I have to come up with over the course of a few years. That's not including obviously any kindy or going on from grade 6. So that's a lot of lunch boxes. So, you know, if you are someone who doesn't like lunch boxes, then this will be really helpful for you, because I really enjoy, maybe it's just my personality, I use those bento box kind of ones with all the different compartments, and I really love finding ways to like fill them in so they look really cute. And, you know, it's a bit like a Jenga puzzle kind of thing, like how can this go there, not Jenga, whatever it is, Tetris. So, you know, I really enjoy that side of the challenge, but, you know, I know not everybody is the same as me and a bit like that. So I'm happy to share everything that I've learned, what I do for my kids every day, because I do focus on making it really simple, but also really super nutritious. Because, hi Lisa, hi everybody's jumping on, hi Linda. You know, when we're looking at making 1,400 lunch boxes per child, that's a lot of food that your child is consuming while they're at school. That's a lot of opportunities to be able to get good food into your child. But I like to look at it as when my kids are going to school and I've packed that lunchbox for them with lots of love and care, and I'm thinking about them and what they like when I'm planning it and putting it all together. They're taking that to school, they're opening that up, and they're just opening up this little box of love that comes straight from mummy's heart. And it's really lovely to think of it like that. So, you know, if you don't like lunch boxes, start to think of it as that little token of love that you're sending your child to school with. So if we love our kids, then we also want our kids to be really healthy and thrive. So that means making sure that we're packing lunch boxes that are giving them the great nutrition that they need, to be able to concentrate in class, to be able to focus, to have slow burning sustainable energy rather than a huge spike that's going to make them go a bit crazy and the teacher goes, what are you doing? So that's what we want to focus on, and it doesn't have to be hard, and you can do it in a way that changes it up so your kids don't get bored as well. So if you jump on and you are listening and you think of something that you want to share, something that you do for your kids and your lunch boxes, please jump onto the comments and put them in there. I'd love to hear what you have to share as well, and I'll read them out so anyone listening to this later, because I know a lot of mums listen to it after who can't jump on at, well, now at 7:30 because of daylight savings. So I'll read it out so they can hear it as well. But I am going to go through this pretty quickly because there is so much stuff to go through. So what I'm not going to do is the obvious stuff. So we all know how to cut up fruit. We all know how to cut up vegetables. Or we all know those little things that you can put in meats and whatever, you know, the real basic stuff. I'm not going to cover that because I'm going to assume that you know how to do that. So what I want to do is look at some different ideas and also some ways of doing it that save you time as well by planning ahead. So I'm going to go through that. And I have a freebie for everyone at the end. And I also have, I'm going to save my best for last. I've got a really great one that I'm going to share at the end. So stick around for that one and then you can get your freebie as well. I've split this into a few sections just to try to make it a little more easier to apply or think or focus through. So I've hopefully done it in a way that makes sense. What I want to say straight up, first off, thing off the bat, is that I do buy packaged foods for my kids. I just keep it really minimal. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm this amazing mega mum who makes everything from scratch. I don't. I'm human. I don't have time to make everything from scratch. So I do buy some packaged foods. I just make sure that it's really just a couple of packaged foods and I always check the ingredients. So I always make sure that there's as few ingredients as possible, no refined sugars, nothing like that. So I do really try to just limit the amount of packaged foods the kids are getting, because there's just a lot of garbage stuff. Even if you look at the super healthy muesli bars and things like that, there's a lot of ingredients in there that you just may not even recognize as being bad. Sugar can be written in about 12 different ways. So even if you think something is healthy, if you read the ingredients, you might find it's not. So there are some good brands out there that make good quality. Actually, I've got a couple. These are just ones that I had in my cupboard, but like this is one that I bought for my kids this week. You can just find stuff like this in the health food section. If you go to the health food sections of new supermarkets or in health food stores, you'll find much better stuff. Hi Narelle, hi Donna, hi Karen, that's my mum. So, you know, this one has only about 5 or 6 ingredients. There's nothing terrible in it, and they're just little muesli bar kind of things. So that's just from Coles, I think. These are the Mam Mia brand from Aldi, has some good stuff. Often if you go to the baby section, you'll actually find some pretty decent foods there, because companies know we want to feed our babies super healthy stuff, and then as our kids get older, we care less. So if you go to the baby section, they actually have some pretty decent stuff there for kids. Just always check the ingredients. And a lot of things that you buy from the shop, you can make at home pretty quickly. So I'll go through a couple of those as well. All right. So my kids took Vegemite sandwiches to school for a really long time. And then we started, or I guess I started to discover how inflammatory bread is, or just wheat, the way that wheat is created in modern day. So we started to really limit how much bread that we eat. So I've done a whole live on bread, so I don't want to actually go through that too much, but the short story is that the reason that we limit bread for our family is because modern conventional ways that they make, that they grow the wheat, they spray it with stuff that is known to cause cancer. The company that makes the Roundup stuff that they spray, which by the way is illegal in other countries, they just paid out like $300 million in court case payouts to people whose had families whose some of their members died from cancer because of their contact with this like Roundup type stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that's being sprayed on our food, on our bread, like our wheat, and then it's going into our bodies and our kids' bodies. So that's one bad thing. The other one is that the way they process the wheat, they pull it apart and they use one fraction of it that our body can't digest. So you're not even getting the whole wheat anymore, you're just getting the carbs. And also wheat has phytic acid in it, which is one of the main causes of cavities. So there's a few reasons there. If you do want to buy bread, I recommend getting an organic brand that uses 100% whole wheat. So we do buy that, and we just allow our kids to just have a little bit every now and then. So hi Jess, who's just jumped on. I'm just about to start. I was just talking about how we limit bread in our family for a few different reasons. So you'll find that my recipe, or the things that I put in my kids' lunchboxes, don't have a lot of wheat in them. Just we've chosen as a family not to go hardcore on the Vegemite sandwiches anymore. Okay, so the first section I'm going to start with is the main portion. So the thing that your child would have when they're having their lunch. So the bigger, more filling, or main section of it. So in lieu of sandwiches, we often do Cruskits or rice cakes. If you're getting Cruskits, I get the corn ones because the wheat ones have a lot more ingredients in them. And someone just today, Amy, thank you so much for opening my eyes to this. They actually have dairy solids in it, milk solids, for whatever reason. So we always buy the corn ones. So Cruskits and rice cakes. Wraps are also really good. Yes, they're wheat, but they're not as much as bread. So we do sometimes use wraps or mountain bread. I'm not going to go too much into fillings because it's pretty obvious what kind of fillings you can use on things like that. So you can have your really basic Vegemite and cheese or whatever, and you can also have anything all the way through to ham and tomato and lettuce and avocado or anything like that. So I won't go through those too much. I know everyone knows how to make a wrap. Okay, dips and crackers are staples in my kids' lunch boxes. So I usually use crackers that are seaweed crackers because they are wheat free. There's a whole range of them now. You can even get really awesome ones that have dried fruit in it, and they're super yum, and our kids love those as well. They're a little bit of a treat. In terms of dips, our kids all love hummus. I do buy it, but I also make my own. It's super easy. Chickpeas, garlic, lemon juice, salt, pepper, you're done. So that's really easy to make for your family. Another one that we love is avocado. So mashed avocado with a little bit of lime juice, salt and pepper is amazing. If your kids are dairy eaters, then you can chuck in some goat cheese and it's like amazing. It's one of my favorite dips. So my kids love dips and crackers. So they make a really great main meal food, and easy to make your own, easy to buy from the shop. Just be careful because some of them do have nuts in them. So, you know, in terms of taking to school and daycares and things like that, you've got to be a little bit careful of the nuts. Okay, so dips and crackers. Okay, healthy muesli. So my, hi Anne. Yes, I do. I was just saying before, Anne, I'm a bit of a nerd. When it comes to lunchboxes, I really love it. I love how nerdy it is, getting all the bits to fit in everywhere. So another thing that my kids, especially one of my kids, really loves is muesli. So again, you've got to check the ingredients. Aldi does a pretty good organic muesli. I buy two types of theirs and blend them together. But taking muesli to school is something a lot of people don't think about, but it's actually really fun, and my kids enjoy it. So when I do it, look, I've got props. I actually brought props this time because I knew that I wouldn't be able to explain it. So these little, I bought these thermos just from Kmart, and they are amazing. They were $8. They are the perfect size to still fit in your kid's school bag, but they're also big enough to be able to get in there with a spoon or a fork. They're really easy for the kids to take the lid off. These are amazing mueslis for so much stuff for the kids for school, especially in winter. But what I do when the kids take muesli is that you just put this with the lid open in the freezer so it chills. Put the milk into this. So my kids have soy milk. They do drink almond milk, but because it's school, I avoid the nuts. And then you put the muesli into something else like this with a brew top lid, because what you don't want is your kids pulling lids off and then it goes flying everywhere and your kids ends up with something like, I don't know, tomato sauce splattered all over his shirt. Not that that ever happened to my 7-year-old. And then when it's time for them to have their muesli, you do this. No, this way. You pour it in and then they've got their muesli there. You can put some berries or something separately, stick them in. You give them a plastic spoon that they bring home so that you're not going through a bunch of plastic spoons. And they've got an amazing lunch that is, you know, wheat-free, and you can put in whatever fruit that they like. That's a really great, easy lunch to do. It's, you know, most of the time we have that stuff on hand and they think it's really fun. You know, they really enjoy mixing it together like an alchemist while they're at school. That's a really good one. Sushi, I personally have never done sushi. I put it in there for you guys. I know some people love it. If my kids have sushi, it's because I've let them buy it from the tuck shop. But, you know, I know some people do love to make sushi and are great at it. So I'm going to throw that one out there for you guys who want to try that. Salads. So there's probably a small percentage of kids who love to have a green salad at school. Some of them might, but a lot of them won't. That's okay. There's a lot of other options that you can. Hi, Gracie. There's a lot of other options, and hi, Katie, for salads than just green leafy salads. So you can look at having a salad with a base of quinoa instead, or brown rice, or even couscous as well. So if you just Google recipes around those kinds of salads, there's some really great ones out there, and kids find them much easier to eat than a green leafy salad. So that's another great option too. And you can chuck the salad, I mean, you can get ones like this that look like a bowl, which are really good as well for keeping your food nice and cool so it doesn't go all gross in the lunchbox. Okay, still in main meals. This is what I was saying. I'm like throwing this at you. I've got so much to get through. Main meals, another way to make it really simple is to use leftovers. And that sometimes requires a little bit of planning. So when I'm doing my meal planning, I have a look at what meals I'm making and I see which elements of that meal I can make a little bit more of and use for their lunches the next day. So my kids love mashed potato. So if I'm making something with mashed potato, I'll double it. And then the next morning, all I need to do is heat it up, put in some salt and pepper. You can put in any kind of meat that you might have had with it. Like if you have, I don't know, you might have bacon or something, you can put in corned beef, green beans, peas, something like that to turn it into a bit more of a meal. My kids love that. What else? Salmon cakes, vegetable nuggets, sausage rolls, just healthy ones, right, guys? And there's also quesadillas. So if you've had Mexican or something like that, you can make a really great, easy quesadilla out of that. Some cheese and the mix and avocado, olives, whatever your kids like, and you can serve them hot or cold. Quiches, my kids have never liked quiches, but I know a lot of kids do. Pasta, fritters, zucchini muffins are another one. I don't know if anyone makes those for dinner, but they're great as well. And then you have other things like fried rice. We make cauliflower rice just so that it's not so heavy on the rice. Couscous is another one. So lots of meals that you can make a little bit extra of, and then all you've got to do in the morning is either throw it in cold or heat it up a little bit, chuck it in your thermos, and you're good to go. And you've made something that's a little bit different and more interesting than just the good old Aussie Vegemite and cheese sandwich, you know, like it's starting to help kids to get used to eating a variety of foods. I would always suggest, though, that you try a food at home before you serve it to them at school, because chances are it's just going to do a round trip and come home if they've not tried it before. So if you're not sure, and just, you know, I really believe in trying to extend kids all the time. I have a really fussy eater, so I know how challenging that is. Our oldest, he basically ate nothing for the first few years of his life. If it wasn't bread, he wouldn't eat it. He threw up most things that had any kind of texture. So we've been through the fire in terms of that fussy eating thing, and he's now 10 and he's a pretty good eater. Like, for a kid who basically threw up anything with texture to now eat what he does is really amazing. And it's only because we just kept trying and we never gave up on him. And he understands now as well that he needs to eat that food. Even if he struggles with it, he needs to keep trying. So yeah, be encouraged. If you've got a tough one, just keep trying. They will get there. There's very few adults who still just only eat bread, right? Most of us grow out of stuff like that. Okay, the next section I want to go through. Gracie, can you please inbox me how you make cauliflower rice? Yes, I can. Cauliflower rice is super easy. I can even just tell you, you grab it, you chuck it in a food processor and blend it up until it looks like crumbly stuff. And then you can just chuck it into your, like a big frying pan or a wok with a little bit of oil. You probably don't even really need the oil. And then you just keep tossing it until it kind of browns a little bit. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. And you can just use it for whatever, you can make pizza bases out of it. There's so much you can do, but that's how simple cauliflower rice is. And it's because cauliflower is pretty tasteless. It goes really well with a lot of stuff. So we have it with, you know, we make fried rice and stuff like that out of it all the time. And we have it with curries and things like that. It's just a great little adaptable vegetable to be able to use. And often they're really, really cheap too. Okay, so next section is savory snack foods. Boiled eggs is one. Again, oh my gosh, I have such a problem with putting boiled eggs into lunchboxes. Personally, I must have had a bad experience. I know so many other mums who do it, so I put that one on my list for everyone else's benefit. But man, there is something in me that goes, I can't put a boiled egg in my kid's lunchbox. But hats off to those of you who do, that's great. Hi, Jacqueline, you just jumped on. Okay, tuna and salmon is also really great if your kids will go with that. Something I put in my kids' lunchbox, two of my kids will eat this, the other one won't, is half an avocado. So you can just chop an avocado in half and you can just put some lemon juice or lime juice, you know, sort of sprinkle it over the top, and a bit of salt and pepper if you want. If they're younger, so my 3-year-old, I hold the avocado and I kind of slice through it and do like a crosshatch, and then pour the lemon juice over the top and some salt, and then a tiny little bit of plastic wrap over it, just really flat to keep it from oxidizing, and then just leave them with a spoon. So that way my 3-year-old can she can scoop it out a bit easier when it's been pre-cut. My kids love that, and they last pretty well. And that's, I mean, avocados are just like an incredible superfood to be trying to incorporate into your kid's day. So yeah, any way you can do that, if your kid loves avocado, that's a great way to do it. Or like I said before, make a dip out of it. If they love avocados, make a dip, because that's super easy as well and won't brown. If you put lemon or lime juice in there, citrus will stop it from oxidizing. Okay, next section we're going to talk about is the sweet stuff, so sweet extras. I've seen things before where people say, make sure that every lunchbox has protein and blah, blah, and blah, blah. I don't do that. I just kind of look at it and go, okay, well, you know, I can kind of see that that's got that and that's got that. Oh, that'll be all right. The only thing I would say to take note of is try not to put too much fruit in there. You know, it can be really, hi, Gay. Hi, Lorena and Maya. Hi, ladies. And Doug as well has jumped on too. So, yeah, we've just got to be a little bit careful about the fruit side of it, because it can be really tempting to just put loads of fruit in. You know your kids are going to eat it. It looks really pretty. But, yeah, too much fruit, probably not great for them. So, you know, you have to try to balance it out. I try to limit it to 2 or 3 fruits per lunch box. So what you can do if your kid is not a great fruit eater, or you just want something different, you can make a fruit salad. You can just use things like a little bit of pineapple, some quartered grapes. I have a super fear of grapes, a bit like eggs. Oh, it makes me so nervous. Apples, passion fruit, blueberries, they go really, really well in a little container for fruit salad. So Oh, you can, I mean, this is probably a little small, but there's some really great little containers with screw top lids. I'm a huge fan of screw top lids because little ones can do it. It avoids that splashing everything onto yourself. But yeah, fruit salads are really, really great. Just don't put in watermelon because it goes mushy, and if it's too long before they eat it, it goes really gross and it makes the whole thing stinky. So don't do that. Okay, yogurt. Our family only has coconut yogurt just because we avoid dairy. Oh, Gracie says, I love sweet potato and tuna patties. Yes, sweet potato, that's awesome. Yeah, I said salmon patties before, but yeah, sweet potato and tuna as well. There's some really great recipes for corn fritters, sweet potato fritters, tons of recipes out there like that, and lots of kids really love those too, so thanks, Gracie. So yeah, yogurts, I only use coconut yogurt and I only buy plain, just because even if you buy the really good brands, they still have a ton of sugar in them to make them taste sweet, and just you don't really need it, because you can buy the plain variety and you can add your own stuff to it, and then you know what's going into it. So things like mangoes and blueberries, quartered grapes, again, they make great additions to yogurt. If it needs a little bit of sweetening, you can put in a little bit of good maple syrup, not what's it called? Maple flavored syrup. Let's not do that. Use a good quality maple syrup, or rice malt syrup is really great because it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels. It's very moderate for our body to use as energy. And raw honey is another one. So you can just mix that in if it needs a little bit of sweetening. I find I do that when I put passion fruit in. We have a passion fruit vine that's just going crazy at the moment. And yeah, the passion fruit, because it's a bit tart, sometimes it needs a little bit of sweetener in there just to make it extra yummy. But that's what we do with yogurt. That way you can kind of mix and match flavors a little bit too, without having to buy a whole tub of flavored yogurt that's got extra, additive kind of stuff in it that you don't really want. The other thing I do is I make a berry compote. I said how you say it. Is it compote or compote? I don't really know. I think it's compote. And all you need to do to make that is, and this is for the yogurt, but you can use it for other stuff too, you just get a bag of frozen blueberries or raspberries or a berry mix. I think I generally use around half a bag of the frozen berries, so it'll be like 250 grams. Chuck it into a little saucepan with a little bit of water and some sweetener like rice malt syrup, just a tablespoon or so, and then just let it simmer away for, 10 minutes or 15 minutes until it kind of boils down, and it turns into a kind of mushy, syrupy kind of, chunky liquid. And you can, when it cools down, obviously, you can mix that into yogurt. It's beautiful. But you can also have it on pancakes as a pancake topping. We sometimes make breakfasts where we bake pears or apples and have them with a side of coconut yogurt and some of this, berry compote spread over the top. It's amazing. So whipping that up takes almost no time, because you can just leave it to do its thing on the stove. You got to stir it every now and then. But it's really great to have in the fridge. I use it for so many different things, and it goes really well in yogurt, and then you'll find 100 other things to use it for too. And another one is, along the same vein, homemade fruit purees. I don't think my kids would eat fruit purees, but some kids who are texturally challenged might really like to have their fruits pureed and put in a little container, and they can eat it like that. I know my son would have really enjoyed that when he was younger and was struggling with textures. It's a great way to get your kids to try new flavors if it's maybe in a texture that they can predict. That can be really helpful for them. So kind of like what they have in those squeezy tubes, it's the same deal, but you can just make your own. If you've got a blender of any variety, you can pretty much do it. So hi Bridget, hi Danielle, hi Rachel, hi everyone who's jumping on. Feel free to share your own stuff in the comments if there's anything you want to contribute to our Lunchbox Inspo live, then yeah, just chuck them in and I'll read them out and we can share them with the group. All right. Next, I feel like I'm just talking and talking and talking like a machine gun. I've just got so much to go through. Okay, I'm nearly there actually. All right, savory and sweet treats. So I am very aware that a lot of dried fruits, I stopped giving my kids dried fruit in the lunch boxes just because of the cavities. So when they eat chewy, how we know that raisins and dried fruits have a lot of sugar content in them, and when they chew them, it sticks in their teeth and it sits there all day. So again, I'm slightly paranoid about that. So I don't really allow them to have too much of the dried fruit stuff. Sometimes I'll put in a date, or I might put in a little bit of raisins or whatever. But something you can do is a trail mix. So you can make up, unfortunately, because you have to do nut-free for schools, it kind of limits what you can do with your trail mix, but you can put in seeds, coconut flakes, cacao nibs are awesome. Cacao is awesome for brain food and it's feel-good, releases feel-good hormones, things like that. So it's actually really great food for kids to eat, and it's not sugary. It won't make them go crazy or anything like that. So yeah, you can make trail mix out of dried fruits like raisins, goji berries. You can use coconut flakes, different kinds of seeds. Did I have anything else written down? Apricots, muesli, you can put that in as well. So you can make up your own trail mix. Bliss balls. I don't make bliss balls very often because I find them really time consuming. So I do have a hack for you there though. If you do make them, because I make this every Christmas, I make a chocolate peppermint one. And something that I do is, instead of making balls, because I'm super lazy, I just can't sit there rolling 100 balls. It just is not fun. I chuck everything into the food processor. You get a baking dish, like a square or rectangular one, line it with some baking paper, put your mix in there and press it down flat, chuck it in the freezer for 10 or 15 minutes, get it out, pull it out with the parchment paper, get a big knife and chop it into squares. Done. Don't sit there for an hour rolling balls when you can just make them into squares and everyone will still eat them, I promise. So there's tons of great recipes for bliss balls out there. There's lots of nut-free ones as well. So if you want to make your own, if I do want them for my kids, I just buy a really good quality one from the health food section. Anne said cacao nibs sound good. They are awesome. I actually meant to get mine out to show everyone. I just buy the ones from the health food store. They last forever because you only use a few at a time. So one bag will last you a really long time. They're not expensive. They're just cacao in its rawest form. So it's not, it hasn't got any sugar added to it or anything like that. And they're still really yum. Like we put them on our acai bowls and yeah, just anything and everything. I put nibs in everything. So I'm a bit of a nib nut. Okay, so yeah, bliss balls I just buy. I'm just going to put it straight out there. I usually just buy them. Okay, so we've got that little secret out in the open. I just figure it's easier to just spend a few dollars and have them ready to go than me spending an hour trying to make them and seizing up my food processor. All right, so healthy muffins and slices. I do make those, so I will just spend a couple of hours making a huge batch of something and then chuck it into the freezer and you can just get them out, pop them in, and they're ready by the time your kids are going to eat them at school. I have great recipes for a 1-bowl chocolate cake that I make into mini muffins or into a slice pan and then just cut it up and pop it in the freezer. I make lemon slices, orange and poppy seed muffins, and they're all wheat-free. I usually use coconut flour. So there's a whole ton of recipes out there you can do. That is one of the easiest way to just have stuff ready to go in the freezer. It doesn't take a lot of time. Often I just make them when I'm making dinner. I'll just on the side make something like that really quickly and have it ready to go. Lots of flops in my in my arsenal. I've done lots of really bad ones, but the good ones are great and the kids love them. Okay, popcorn. So I usually give my kids popcorn instead of deep fried chips like potato chips. I make my own popcorn at home. It's super, super easy. It is so much cheaper. You can buy a bag of, or you can even buy organic popcorn kernels for just a few dollars, and that bag will last you weeks. You know, you use very little, when even for me making it for 3 kids, and often my husband too, it just uses a few. It's really easy. I won't go through the recipe right now, but it's super easy to make your own, and it doesn't have anything in it except for what you put into the pan with them. So usually that's just salt, but you can do lots of other flavorings too, which makes it really fun for the kids. Do not use microwave popcorn. There is chemicals in the metal lining of the bag that break down during the heating process. It is terrible for you. Like, I actually know that those chemicals are carcinogenic, but again, it's still allowed to go into our homes and into our kids. So please, please, please never ever use microwave popcorn. It is the only thing, like when we go to parties and stuff, I'm cool with my kids just having muffins and whatever, I let them do it. But if someone tried to give my child microwave popcorn, I think I would go running across the room and just like knock it out of their hand. I just can't. It's one of those things. It is, do not mess with me when it comes to microwave popcorn. If you've got it in your house, please throw it away. Go buy a bag of kernels and make your own. It's super easy. Another thing you can make by yourself is roasted chickpeas. So you've probably seen these for sale in the health food section, and they're like $4 or $5 a bag. It's really easy to make your own. You just get a can of organic chickpeas, rinse them off, pat them down dry, rub a little bit of olive oil or rice bran oil is what I usually use for high heat things. A little bit of oil on there, a little bit of salt, whatever flavorings you want. If your kids like, you know, paprika or whatever, you can put it on there, put it on a baking tray and just cook it at about 230 degrees for whatever, 30, 40 minutes, come out real crunchy. They're really nice. So there's lots of things you buy from the shops that are expensive that you can actually make on your own really quickly. You can do that while you're making dinner. You can just have that, chuck it in, get it out, and it's done. So that's another one. And then dried fruit. I do have that on my list. Dates and raisins, things like that. But again, I use those sparingly just to save the little teeth. Okay, this is my last thing that I want to go through. So I have saved the best for last. Something that I do, Anne says, love that easy roasted chickpea idea. Yes, you will. You can probably do it for any kind of legume, I suppose. But yeah, don't buy the shop stuff, make your own. So what I do with my kids is we're a huge green smoothie family. I started giving my kids green smoothies when my son was about 2, and he wouldn't eat anything. And so I discovered green smoothies, and that was the only way that I could get real food into him, was by putting it in to something that I blended up. So now, I mean, we still do that, 8, 9 years later, we still do that almost every day. Our kids have a green smoothie, but I also make smoothies for them to take to school, because the cool thing about smoothies is that you can put so much in them that is giving them tons and tons of nutrition. And they, most kids like it. Most kids like things that are a smooth texture that tastes really good. You can make a ton of different flavors, and the stuff you can hide in there is epic. So let me go through some of them. I'll show you what I use these little thermos bottles for our kids. They're an awesome size. They're really good for just being able to pop in the pocket of their lunchbox. They have a great, this is not product placement, I'm just showing you what I do. They have a really great, just a little hole here, so that I had my old ones, you had to take the lid off and like this, and I'd always worry that my kids would get like that Joker face. So these ones are great. You can actually put, you can even, if your child really struggles with drinking out of the whole kind of thing, you can even fit a straw in there. So you can actually send a straw with them, and they can pop it in and drink it, and then leave that in the lunchbox. So they're really versatile smoothies for that reason. They're easy to send. So when we make our smoothies, we use, as a base, we use whole food powders that have just a whole bunch of different vegetables and sprouted powders, things like that. So we always use that as a base, because that's giving the kids actually 20 whole foods before we even start putting anything else in. And then we'll use usually a like a non-dairy base. So we might put in soy milk or something like that. And then from there, you can kind of build whatever you want. You can put in bananas and cinnamon and some raw honey, or you could do a chocolate one with cacao powder. I use blackstrap molasses, like half a teaspoon of blackstrap molasses in there is amazing. That stuff is full of amazing nutrients. It's got great iron in it. It's amazing for magnesium, which a lot of us are deficient in. So I always add some of that in, and it just has a really yummy flavor to it. It's almost a little bit of a licorice flavor, but it doesn't taste like that in the smoothie, but it just adds a little kick to it. You can put some peppermint in there too. Peppermint chocolate is amazing. You can do different berries. Like, there's so much you can do, but then you can add other things like a few baby spinach leaves. So if your kid struggles to eat salad kind of stuff, then, that's a great way to get some greens in. They can't taste the spinach. It's very mild. And the great thing is, in bottles like that, they can't see the color either. So if it turns a mild shade of green, it doesn't matter, because they can't really see it. So it's a really great way of hiding greens in there. And I would always suggest starting with baby spinach. Don't go hardcore and go to like dandelion greens, because they won't drink it. Baby spinach is great. You can add in things like avocado. Put in, a quarter or half of an avocado, so they're getting those good fats in there as well. It helps to make it to be a bit thicker as well. You can put in chia seeds. You can put in flaxseed oil. Really, you can put, this is a little secret, and my kids figured it out not long ago. I put bone broth into into all of our smoothies. So I make my own bone broth in my slow cooker, and then I freeze it in these big ice cube trays that I got, and then I keep them in the freezer, and we chuck a couple in. So bone broth is really awesome for you for lots and lots of different reasons, and my kids have it in their smoothie and they can't taste it, because I don't like the taste of bone broth. I've tried to like it and I don't. So that's a really awesome way to be able to do that, and they can't taste this stuff. So That's why I love smoothies. My kids love smoothies, and it's something that is a staple in our family because it's so versatile. You can do so much with it. You can get so much nutrition into them while they're at school. Like, you know, they have their first snack and they're eating like so much great stuff, and they're not eating a packet of chips. Like, that's what you've got to weigh it up against. And it doesn't take long to make because you just throw everything into a blender, blend it all up, pour it into your things, and you're done. So it doesn't take any longer than just, you know, making anything else in your for their lunchbox. Okay, so if you want to, I've got everything that I just said in a PDF, and I am super happy to send it to you if you would like it. It's condensed down to 2 pages, just some lists of stuff. So let me know. You can comment or just send me a message as well if you're watching this later, and I'm happy to send that through to you. And I also, and if you want any questions about different brands that I use, things like that, always just send me a message. I'm super helpful. I'm super happy to help you. I try to be helpful. Yeah, but I'm really happy to help to do that, anything that you need help with. And you know what, if your child struggles to eat foods, again, I would just say continue on, just press on and keep trying new things. Don't be discouraged because they do get there in the end. And what you're doing for them by persevering and trying and changing it up and really constantly working to get more good foods into them is you're setting them up for great habits that they're going to take into adulthood, and then they're going to teach their kids. And that means that you are being the change in your family tree to make sure that, you know, from your point onwards, you are instilling those good food habits into your family line. So that's an awesome thing that you can, you know, think about when you're making your lunch boxes as well. So yeah, if you want the PDF, let me know. And if you've got any other questions, just message me or I'll pop in a comment. Thanks everybody for jumping on and sharing, and have a great night. Enjoy the other, I don't know, what have we got left? 50 lunch boxes for this year. And then we'll start fresh next year with our next 200. So awesome job, everybody. Thank you. Bye. Good night.